Friends and colleagues, it's my privilege to present to you 146th webinar under the series Rethinking City that INHAF has been putting together for over last 4 years. My tasks include, of course, one, to thank and introduce the panel, which I understand Souvanic has taken over. Number two, provide a setting for this particular webinar on Bengal's election and its context to urban life and living. And of course, to tell you why we have been doing this webinar series for such a long time, what are we trying to achieve, and what have we done. Out of all these tasks, the most important one is, nothing is more important than thanking my friend and colleague, Professor Souvanic Roy, for putting together this most timely conversation on state elections in Bengal and what should be the urban voters expect from the election. He moved very fast, and Souvanic, thank you very much. He moved very fast and decisively, and I'm grateful to him and the distinguished panel he has brought together to discuss urbanization in the West Bengal in the context of ongoing elections. He has also written a very thoughtful concept note for the event, and I think it is only proper that I read a part of it as part of my context setting. It's a very well-written concept note. Thank you once again, Souvanic ji. He says, unplanned horizontal urbanization is spreading across the state. Driven by market forces and speculative growth, urban sprawl is encroaching on and filling in intervening agricultural lands, wetlands, and open spaces in areas adjacent to the cities. In Calcutta and its surrounding regions, the built-up area has expanded by 33% over the past 3 decades due to urbanization. Concurrently, green cover has declined by 26%, and temperatures have risen by approximately 5 degrees Celsius. I don't even believe this, but when someone says it looks horrible. Temperature have risen by 5 degrees Celsius. And the groundwater level is dropping by 1 foot annually. Every year, groundwater is going down by 1 foot. And compared to 2006, the number of ponds at wetlands have decreased by 46%. Half of them almost have disappeared in the last 3 decades. And that can be a more worrying commentary on what is happening. Souvanic is not the one to forget the poor. He says, another pertinent issue is that 30% of city dwellers in Calcutta, Havra, and other major towns in the state live in informal settlements, what we call slums, often dense and crowded, on marginal lands along canals and railway tracks without access to city amenities. Most of them work in the urban informal sector, such as street vending, construction, small factories, transport, and domestic work. They are not covered by any social security net or protected by a minimum basic wage. We witnessed their suffering during the pandemic, and unfortunately, the situation hasn't improved very much. the absence of a decent wage and low per capita income are forcing them to migrate to more urbanized states. It's a long introductory concept note, and at the end of which he really asks many questions. I'm going to put forward just two. He says, what connections are evident between the nature of the cities and towns and the current development path with the electoral politics in the state? This is the first question which goes back to our webinar today. And the second, more important question, what approaches have been reflected in the elections manifestos of major political parties in addressing the pertinent urban issues? And he said, what are not only the election, what are the voters saying, but what are the political parties saying in terms of the manifestos in the context of the urban challenge? It is in this context that we are asking a question: what urban Bengal expects in assembly elections in 2026? There is an overwhelming context too, that about 12% of West Bengal's 76 million electorals have been deleted or removed from 2026 electoral rolls as part of special intensive revision called with a beautiful name SIR, SIR. I remember visiting a construction site in Chennai many years ago. A large number of construction workers from West Bengal were going home at their own expense to vote in the election there. I was told that they would not return for at least a month. When I asked them whether all the expense of going back and absenting from work for a month was worth it, their answer I will never forget. They told me that was the only power they had. The vote is the only power that we have. And they didn't want to waste it. And I think it's very pertinent kind of questioning and very pertinent answer how poor people, workers, construction workers weigh importance of their voting right. And because Souvanic is going to introduce the panelists today, I'm skipping that portion and I'm coming to the last part of my introduction, where I'm telling you briefly what has triggered this exploration through webinars, why we are doing it, and what are expectations on the output of this webinar series. This initiative is based on our assessment of India's urban challenge and what is needed to be done in response. We have formulated 6-point strategy, which I would like to spell out. Number one, that India's urban challenge is daunting, complex, and demanding. Something that we as people, we as professionals, we as government have not grasped adequately and cannot afford misreading and mismanaging without paying a heavy price economically, socially, and environmentally. And that is because the country's future is tied to how our cities function and remain livable, healthy, safe, peaceful, productive, efficient, and undestructive of environment, undestructive of ecology, undestructive of nature, undestructive of culture, and undestructive of values. So this is the first part. The second part is that our response to the challenge does not seem on track. This is the more difficult part. That what we seem to be doing in response to this huge challenge does not seem to work. And that reflects in the quality of our cities. They are not in pink of health. Our cities undoubtedly are not in pink of health and saddled with multiple problems, multiple challenges. That's the second part. The third part is that time is not our side. And this is people don't normally talk about. The time is not on our side. As pace of urbanization is rapid, governance challenges are formidable. Not only governments, but investment challenges are formidable, and available solutions do not look like delivering. The solutions that we have in our hands do not seem like working. Fourth thing is this, that to expect the government alone to respond to the challenge is unreasonable and unrealistic. Government alone, however much it wants, cannot do it on its own. That the human resource capital, this to me is very important, and this is the heart of this whole initiative. That the human resource capital, including the knowledge and skill base outside the government system, in business, in industry, in academic community, among professionals and civil society, has the potential to contribute meaningfully to addressing the urban challenge. And lastly, a broad-based partnership, a broad-based societal partnership with government in key role is the need of the hour to meeting the urban challenge adequately. This webinar series that we are running for last 4 years, and this is 146th episode of the series, is a part of the process to building a wider societal partnership. Multiple actions are needed by multiple stakeholders at multiple levels, and this is just one of them. With this rather longish introduction, I hand over to Dr. Souvanic Roy. He has a brilliant and a big panel to discuss the topic today, that is looking at elections in West Bengal in the context of people's expectations on urban challenge. Thank you very much. Souvanic.
Yeah. Thank you, Kentiji, and good evening to all, and good morning also to some participants from outside India. Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So thank you, Kentiji, for setting the context and also highlighting some of the points from the note. I would like to add very briefly a few points to set the context. Is that since 2000 or since 1990 onwards, when with the economic liberalization, West Bengal has also adopted new economic policy and opening up of the economy. And as a natural corollary to that, what we have seen two trends, which probably would give some clue to the today's discussion. Two trends were very prominent. One is we have seen a decline of manufacturing sector of industries, and that's particularly took a toll on the city of Howrah, where a lot of closed industries are there, which is part of the twin metropolitan cities of Calcutta and Howrah. So along with that decline in manufacturing, we have seen the rise of IT and service sector, which Calcutta has taken the advantage of this. And one of the architect of that new town which has been developed, we are very fortunate to have Mr. Debashis. He will probably highlight that in his speech or presentation. So that the new Calcutta developed. So that is one side of the story of post-liberalization scenario with the development of real estate and service sector. On the other hand, we have seen a large number of development of large number of census towns, which we call as the non-statutory towns, and which is very significant that comparing to 2001, when in West Bengal had only 255 non-statutory towns, and then in 2011 it is 780. So a large increase, and probably that's the highest increase in India. And data I checked that the 25% of the census towns, probably of the growth also, that has been contributed by West Bengal. And in last 2 years now, this number has gone up to 1,000. So probably the new census would reflect that. So these are the trends which are happening and which probably are the triggers to the kind of problems and also the kind of challenges what we see at present have a background of that. Just finally, just to tell about the focus of the current state government, they are actually emphasizing on infrastructure development like roads, flyovers, and also the development of urban parks and recreation spaces for everyone. And this also, there is an enabling role of the real estate market to create more housing stock and commercial spaces, probably more towards the middle income and also the upper middle income group. So the problems Kirtiji has already mentioned, I'm not going into that. That probably would be that would be presented by the speakers. So I would now come to our speakers. Our first speaker of this panel would be Mr. Debashis Sen to start the discussion. He is a former retired IS. He was also the former additional chief secretary IT department, and also the former chief electoral officer, government of West Bengal. And more importantly, over a decade, he has served as chairman of Newtown Kolkata Development Authority, leading the smart city initiatives. And he is now the founder director of NBC Private Limited, who is promoting AI adoption and other activities. So my question to Mr. Sen, who may be the best person to reflect on this question of since the cities, as we consider in the present context, are the engines of growth all over the world and even in developing global south. So to act as an engines of growth, what do you think are the interventions, what you expect from the new government, which is going to take over very soon, to promote economic and infrastructure development to trigger this engines of growth role, which is very important apart from other factors. So yeah, I would be very happy to listen to Mr. Debashis Sen on this issue. Mr. Debashis Sen, please.
Thank you. Good evening to all. Thank you, Professor Roy, for having me here. I understand it's a roundtable format, so I am given 7 minutes. So I should finish by 18:29. I'll do that. Number one, it's a very, very topical because I was the chief electoral officer of the state and I was in charge of urban development department for 7 years and chairman of Newtown for 14 years. So I think I'm very excited with the topic that if I had today before me a group of new political leaders who will lead the new government after 4th of May, what would I ask them of? The first thing I would recall is an electoral procession that I saw from the back. I did not join it, from the back, from Bagbajar Ghat to Nimtola Ghat in Kolkata by the side of river Hooghly. On the one side, on the right side, was the great expansions of the ancient river Hooghly, Bhagirathi, Ganga, whatever you call it. And on the left side was decrepit, absolutely crumbling, British era, forever snake invested sets of housings on the left-hand side. It was a beautiful walk. It was a beautiful procession. But the first thing I would recall and tell our new leaders that, as all of us are in this group know, from the 32% urban population now, it's going to rise to 50% by 2040 by some estimates. So for every one of us, there will be 1.8 of us in the next 2 decades. Do we have places for them to live? And I think since we cannot expand the cityscape, I would definitely ask the new political leaders to absolutely dismantle the riverside, like what we saw in the London riverfront, and demolish and have very high-end mansions on the side of the river and just beside it for rental housing, as in Singapore, where people can come in from the rural areas, stay, and when they climb up the social ladder, they can go away. Urban renewal is absolutely necessary. I have worked for 14 years in new satellite township. I will not talk about it because that will be a different session. But what to do about the existing cities, Bardhaman, Siliguri, Durgapur? I think the first urban renewal that the political masters must attend to is renewal of markets, starting from New Market in Kolkata to Park Circus Market in Kolkata to Bidhan Market in Siliguri to City Center Market in Durgapur. Everywhere, all the footpaths and streets are occupied by street vendors. Where will they go? Subhash Chakraborty had failed in Operation Sunshine because we have to give them space there, not in Gallup Street, which is 2 kilometers away. So therefore, I propose that all these markets be more stories, more taller, new markets, and then pull all the street vendors there and also create additional space for startups to work there. Where is the space? And this can be a self-generating thing, but I will recall money should not be a problem. I was saying Pranay Rai, who has now come and left NDTV, and he is now doing Pranay Rai TV, and he's going around and giving very good assessment of the election path ahead. And in his interview with Amit Mitra, the former finance minister, and even now the principal chief advisor to the chief minister, among his questions, he let us know that of the 4 lakh crores of annual West Bengal budget, 15%, 15% is spent on, Lakshmi Vandar and Bekar Bhata, and that is the social welfare DBT, direct benefit transfer scheme. I would ask the new government, if you can spare 15% of the GDP on giving doles to the poor, of which I have no objection, mind you. I have no objection. I wish to place on record on direct benefit transfer. It's one of the best ways to combat poverty. But for the cities, may I demand also another 15% for the city development? You know how much it will bring? If you see his figures, it's 60,000 crores per year. And for the smart city, which I handled out of the smart city program of Government of India, do you know how much I got every year? I got 100 crores only. And here I have 40,000 crore per year if I get 15% of the GDP. So if there is political will, you can get the money, you can renew the cities, you can have places for the new people to come in from the migration, those who are coming up the social ladder. I will make, in my last 2 minutes, I will make another point. In the Supreme Court, talking of election, the chief secretary appointed by the Election Commission was admonished by the Supreme Court, and the remark was that are IAS officers also being politicized in Bengal? On record, I am not saying. Of course, I have served the Bengal government all my life, 35 years. I know how the thing is. So I am not saying that depoliticize the bureaucracy. But may I, with folded hands, say depoliticize the education sector? Once people all over the world came to study in Shantiniketan, in Kolkata and other places, and it's now a question of, unions and what can I say, very, very low level political masters who are ruling the roost. I want from the political masters no money. Enough money is there in the education system. It is being pilfered actually. I want a self-governing educational system. I want, like the High Court judges, a colloquium. I want professionals, educationals, academics to rule the education system. Only then we'll make better cities, better employment, because all our children, at least from the IAS, I can say IAS, IPS, all our children are studying elsewhere, they're doing jobs elsewhere. Elsewhere means out of Bengal. So we must bring back the educational system on foot. Then only we'll be able to face the new challenges of artificial intelligence, machine language, blockchain, IoT, and other things in which Bengalis are very good at. There are great Bengali talent. Somebody spoke of the HR, but they are all doing outside Bengal. Let them bring them back. Let us give them very good salary. I know of a private university in Bengal which where one student has got 1 crore salary per annum. 1 crore. Let us give 1 crore to artificial intelligence, machine learning, knowing very good talent. Let us bring them in. Form a T hub kind of a thing, B hub. Get the best talents in the world. Without talent, no capital will come, no jobs will be created. There's no space in the cities to have a steel factory. We must build on that. The Silicon Valley in Newtown, unfortunately, is a data center, does not produce jobs. It is only general capability centers with talent that can bring Bengal back to the job market, in the new market. And I will strongly suggest that let us pay the moon to get talent first in. Of course, government has to pay. Later on, it will pay back in 3 times. Thank you very much. That is my initial submission.
Thank you, Mr. Sen, for flagging so many important and very relevant issues, emphatically highlighting the need for rental housing, urban renewal, which probably all of us are considering as very important issues, which which are not taken up in any manner. Even after the liberalization, we expected that urban renewal will happen to open up land, to also to improve the livability of the city, and also many other issues, which I think we will take up later in the next round of discussion. Thank you, Mr. Sen, again. So I would now like to move to Professor Zaad Mahmood, who is a political scientist at Presidency University, Kolkata. And he is specializing in political economy, labor politics, and elections and development. And he has authored many books and published widely, and also projects on labor politics and development. So he will be, might be the best person to talk on another question, which we thought would be pertinent to raise in this conversation. So, Professor Mahmood, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah. So my question is, we see a kind of visible urbanization, which is more like consumption spaces and commercial spaces, and because of the liberalization, we see the decline of manufacturing sector, particularly the city like Howrah, which was called as very derogatory term as a coolie town. Even that's not being talked, because most of the industries have gone away from just moved out of that. So what do you see is the kind of, as a political scientist, the connection between the visible form of urbanization and the current development path the cities of Bengal are following, be it Calcutta, be it Siliguri? The large cities are these two. Siliguri actually is one of the gateways to Northeast, and it is actually one of the highest growing cities in Eastern India. So what is the relation with this visible form of urbanization with the electoral politics, which is actually playing out in the state for last, say, 2 decades or such time? Yeah. So that's our question. We thought that you would be the best person to throw some light on this.
Thank you, Professor Roy, for the question. It's a difficult question. So what I try to do is I'll try to address the question by actually fragmenting what we call urbanization. As Mr. Shah, yourself have pointed out, that on the one hand, we see an urbanization which is driven by, real estate capital, speculative capital. We have the new towns and the malls, right? Trump Tower is coming up in Kolkata, right? And so this is part of this, what Ananya Roy calls the worldling cities. All cities of the world would represent something. But at the same time, simultaneously, we have, as you have pointed out, peripheral urbanization, informal housings, increase in slums, right? So you have the planet of slums where people engaged in precarious employment and margins are, and these slums are also slums of concrete, right? And so when you look at simultaneously both these forms of urbanization taking place, you will see the contradiction that we see in the politics or in urban areas, right? So at the one level, there is enough research on formal, urbanization, big builders, and we know that real estate is a very favored space to park money. Devesh Kapoor and Milan Vaishnav did this research where they looked at cement demand across the year across all states of India. And then they found that the demand for cement goes down during periods of elections. And this relationship was robust across many controls. And then they conclude that actually what happens is during periods of election, politicians have a demand for money, and this money actually comes from the real estate sector. So there is a decline in demand from the real estate sector. And once elections are over, then we see a renewed demand in this. So, and if you look at West Bengal also, real estate is one of the areas which has grown significantly, right? Trade and real estate. So there is this nexus between urbanization and politics in a much more sinister manner, black money sense. But on the other hand, we also have these, a segregation that is happening because of this kind of urbanization. Uh, with the planned enclaves like Newtown, which is largely middle class and upper middle class, it's a state-led master plan. Here you have secure property rights, citizens with rights, and they want a kind of institutionalization, they want investment, they want rule of law, they want better civic amenities. On simultaneously in the slums, in the peripheral areas, we see a negotiated citizenship which informality generates, right? So you have these settlements which are not legal in that sense, and here they are dependent on political intermediaries. We all know this, right? Local party worker, the councillor, the broker. In fact, in West Bengal, syndicate has become a part of our everyday lexicon because we know how these syndicates operate. And so here, this is not a right-based citizenship. It's much more transactional. And this transaction leads to a one kind of politics where political parties would trade material benefits, let's say water connection, or let's say protection from eviction, in return for political support, clientelism, right? And so that also increases. And this fragmentation of urban governance that we see, multiple bodies, multiple jurisdictions, public, private, there are other kinds of agencies, parastatal agencies. It's urban governance is a problematic area where even the mayor of Kolkata, how much power does the mayor have vis-a-vis the urban development minister, and those kinds of things? What it leads to is two kinds of politics emerging. One is a programmatic policy, right? A programmatic policy where you're demanding better infrastructure, better facilities. And the other is the transactional politics, where it is much more about what you get in return to protect these illegalities. And we see both of these. And you will see this in the elections also. So when elections happen, the demands that are generated from these formal, middle, and upper class sections of the urban area, there the demands are quite different vis-a-vis the kinds of demands emanating from these peripheral regions. And land has become a very important resource. You know, land is a very important resource with the emergence of the broker or the dalal. Every region of these parastatal. We did a field work in Newtown, and you have these brokers who are not only brokers of land. They are political negotiator. They are broker. They do speculative investment, and they have access to government offices. So these kinds of figures emerge who negotiate the city. And middle class wants better amenities, but the spatial inequality has increased tremendously in urban areas with the kind of urbanization you're talking about. So imagine a Quest Mall. Is my time over? Then
You have another 2-3 minutes. Yeah.
Okay, 2 minutes. So just imagine a Quest Mall, which is bang in Park Circus, and then imagine the slums which start from behind this Quest Mall and range up to the 4 number pool, right? So this kind of spatial inequality not only creates a kind of politics where there is a lot of tension and anxiety, but there is also politicization of the infrastructure, right? Highly uneven infrastructures. And so infrastructure becomes a electoral issue, right? Roads, water, housing, transit. And given the kind of politics, because this is the last point I want to make, that infrastructure can be thought of in two ways. One is the infrastructure which is not so visible but very important. Think about drains. And the other infrastructure is an infrastructure which is visible, and given the kind of populist politics that dominates, there is a tendency of politicians to target visible projects, right? So it makes much more sense to develop a flyover or something like a big gate. Building gates is big in Kolkata now, which has greater electoral relevance than places than doing infrastructural development like putting wires down. Wires beneath the road, or making larger drains which are not so visible. And there has and this is where a tension is visible in urban areas of West Bengal. So with those points, I think I'll make these are my just primary observations. We can talk about any of these points at a later time.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Professor Mahmood, for flagging the issue of connections between the kind of urbanization we see, and which is primarily land monetization and leading to transactional politics. Just this reminds me, just one example is in Calcutta metropolitan area, we have many closed industry or closed jute mill lands, particularly on two sides of the river, the smaller towns like Titagarh, Barakpur, and those places, where we see all gated communities, which is actually leading to fragmentation of the city. And we call it as an assorted cities, where not only they govern their own, but this is leading to a complete separation. Actually, the meaning of city is that's being questioned. What we understand as a city, which is more exchange will happen, rather it is leading to segregation of the fabric, socio-spatial segregation of the communities, and creating a very different kind of situation, and also a very different kind of political scenario. We will come back to you again in the second round. I would now request Professor Tathagata Chatterjee, whom you all know that he is professor of Xavier University, Bhubaneswar, and he is an expert on urban governance and management. So my question to Tathagata, which Kirtiji has also spoken on, that there are three major political combinations in the state. So and they will implement their election manifesto as far as we understand. So what you see as the difference in the approaches reflected in their manifestos of these three political combinations, or maybe four also, in addressing these pertinent issues which we are discussing today. So, yeah, Professor Tathagata, your uh, observation on this point would be is what we look for.
Yeah. Thank you, Souvanic. Thank you, Kirti Bhai, for this opportunity. So, this is indeed a very pertinent question. And let me share a slide. I have, is it visible? Yeah. So I have compared the manifesto of the Trinamool Congress, BJP, and the Left Front. But while studying this different manifesto and while looking at this issue of urban uh, uh, question in the context of the election 2026, what I see that, this SIR debate has been so overwhelming that all other issues has kind of got submerged within it. And but when we have to discuss the question of urban development in context of in Bengal, um, we need to look at the economic context of urban development as well as its um, linkage, the demographic change that is going on in Bengal. So we cannot look at the issue of urban development purely from the angle of um, city level services or such kind of a narrow vision. We have to place it in the larger macroeconomic as well as the demographic change. Now, here, if we compare the manifestos of the three main political formations, what I see that there is a very interesting convergence, at least in terms of the macroeconomic vision. So both TMC as well as Left Front want to see Bengal as a gateway to the eastern India and the link to Southeast Asia as a logistics come infrastructure led development. And also the BJP manifesto also has put the development of the ports in and the blue economy hub and the development of the industrial parks and corridors. So there is on the macro level, there is a convergence of the views about the three main political parties about logistics come infrastructure-led urban development. But the details are quite different. And when about the amount of data or the nuance to which this manifesto has explored this or articulated these points are very different. In TMC manifesto, they have promised about 10 lakhs of jobs. In BJP manifesto, there is no direct mentioning about the jobs, but they have mentioned about 1 crores of opportunities in terms of direct as well as indirect opportunities and focus on startup ecosystem. So the BJP manifesto, the main thrust is on improving the investment climate in the state. Whereas if we look at the Left Front manifesto, where the employability and the livelihood issue for has got the maximum amount of prominence, and it is the most detailed articulated vision. So where they have promised jobs, not only just a bulk number but in different categories, keeping in mind that the logistics and infra led growth as well as opportunities in the IT services sector. Second point of convergence is that all three political formations are emphasizing that about some amount of unemployment support. There are the amounts vary. In case of TMC, it is 1,500. For left, it is 2,000. For BJP, it is 3,000. So there is a kind of a competitive welfareism, if I may say so. It is there. However, one issue that is of critical importance to realize that Bengal is going through a major demographic shift. And that issue has not been very adequately captured in the party manifestos. So if we look at the last family health survey data as well as this 2022 data about TFR, total fertility rate. So Bengal's total fertility rate is now 1.4. So Bengal, in that sense, is now gone way below the rate for the 2.1 rate for this maintaining the population balance. And this has to a very large extent happened due to improved education for women. So, but there are also issues of that has got links to the how the labor market is changing and what is the future there for the population of the state. So here again, the left front manifesto has given focus that the population is aging. So there is a need for geriatric homes, municipal care, level care services, senior helplines are necessary. In TMC manifesto, they have talked about expanding the old age pension, but has not gone into very details about that. But in the BJP manifesto, there is no such explicit talk about the aging of the population or the demographic change. So the need of the hour is that, to create a link between the economic growth strategy and the demographic change that is going through. And here I would take a point that Mr. Debashis Sen has mentioned, that there is a need for high-end industries in Bengal. But to meet the skill level, if we go to any major Indian city or abroad, if we look at the composition of the consulting sector particularly, we would see that in all major consulting companies, in IT companies, about 20% to 30% of the staff are originally from Bengal. So here there is a brain drain that is going on, and of course, this another part is the land economy that has changed. So Bengal has what Partho Chatterjee has said, that Bengal has changed from being a production center to a labor export center. So Bengal is exporting labor both at the high end as well as in the informal sector labor. So we have to keep that in developing the future vision of the city. Now, when it comes to specifically about urban development, the TMC manifesto has talked about expanding the number of urban local bodies and starting a mission Mohanagar for 25 existing towns to improve the city level services and to provide pakka housing and piped water. In BJP manifesto, There is a talk about developing Kolkata as a tourism and a riverfront, and about developing 4 new cities and improving connectivity within the cities, improving traffic situation. But beyond that, it does not go into any further detail. The left front manifesto again has gone more detailed compared to the others. And here the emphasis is on affordable housing, slum upgrading, and another very interesting part is that allocation of the 25% of the municipal budget for the improvement of the slums and settlements like that, and improvement in the public transport. Now, coming to my particular views, I think, we need to look at the future where we need to connect these different dots together. We cannot have a separate economic plan and an urban development plan. So we need to have an urban development vision linked to the economic growth as well as to the demographic change. And here, the point that Souvanic you have mentioned in the note, that is about the census towns. I think, that is a very important aspect that we need to keep in mind while developing the planned strategy for Bengal, because as per the latest data projection by the Niti Aayog, Bengal's urbanization rate is level at this moment, it's 37%, which is above the national average of 35%. So that means very soon, within the next decade or so, Bengal is going to cross the 50% benchmark, even by going by the very stringent level of definition of what is urban, because we all know that the Indian definition of what is urban is the most stringent perhaps in the world. And another fact that we need to keep in mind, that the population density of Bengal is extremely high. It is more than 2.5 times. So Bengal population density is 1,050 or 1,040 persons per square kilometer, whereas the India average is 400 something per square kilometer. So we need to have a plan for optimum utilization of land. And here the question of urban renewal is very, very critically important, because unless we allow the land to come to the market through the normal channel, through the with the state playing a role, what it would do, it would lead to speculative urbanism, and also give a fillip to informality. And in this informal trading nexus, it's what also plays a critical role. The point that Professor Mahmood has mentioned, it's about the populist politics. So it is creating a nexus between the political society and the speculative urbanism. So we need to have a strategy for urban renewal, and that is one lesson that we need to take from London and other cities, because see, the fact of the matter is Calcutta is one of the major centers of industrial revolution. The basic structure of Calcutta was shaped by the industrial revolution, when these railway lines were established, and the jute mills and these factories came around that river corridor. Now, in all Western countries, there have been a huge amount of investment to recycle this land, to put it back into productive use for today's context. And if we do, I'm just wrapping up.
We'll conclude. These are very important. We will certainly take up this
Sure.
maybe in the next stage,
Sure.
we have one round and then
Sure,
we'll certainly take
So
up this. Huh?
just one sentence. So that is, unless we put that land through the proper organized channel with the state playing a strong role, it is going to there is a demand and supply issue, and it is going to create this informality. Yeah. With this, I'll stop.
Yeah. Thank you, Professor Tathagata, for doing a detailed analysis of the manifesto and also the points which are not being considered, which are very relevant, like connecting urban development with economic growth. And also this data is very important to ponder upon, that in West Bengal is now 37% urban. So probably we need to look it from a very fresh perspective of, instead of doing bits and pieces or fragments or taking up new cities, we need a very comprehensive urban strategy where the pressure on land is very, very high. And that's a very, very pertinent issue. The density is probably one of the highest in Indian states. Very, very pertinent. So thank you, Professor Tathagata. I would now like to move to Professor Mahalaya Chatterjee, who is an urban economist and who is professor of Center for Urban Economic Studies, Calcutta University, and former director of the center also. And he has 3 decades of experience working on urban economics, land, and environmental management. So my question to Professor Chatterjee is, we are discussing about the macro level economic drivers like software parks or logistic hubs. Those are important, but equally important is for the mass economy, for mass subsistence. We also need to focus on small and medium scale industries, which also have are there in West Bengal, smaller towns also, like small scale foundries, garments, embroidery units. All these are there, and that's probably sustaining the population pressure and relieving some of the economic hardships even after the COVID and other difficulties. So my question to you, Professor Chatterjee, is how do you see that how important is this issue of local economic development in the context of West Bengal cities and towns, and what new focus, if at all, is necessary for the new government to really make it more meaningful and make it more labor oriented or labor intensive in future. So Professor Chatterjee, would look for your valuable observation.
Good evening, fellow panelists and the audience, and thanks to INHAF for bringing me here. Now, the problem with West Bengal's urbanization is that we saw a particular process during the 2001-2011 period with a growth of more than 500 census towns. But without any census happening or anything, we just don't have any idea whether that process has been reversed or changed or whatever it is. Now, when you talk of local economic development, it was sure when 500 plus census towns came up in 2011 in West Bengal, whatever academic research we could do on that, apart from what we got from census data and other things, but also field surveys, etc., what we saw that the growth of all these census towns or emergence of all these census towns depended on only one thing, that local economic setup. As you know, 2001 to 2011 was not very good for West Bengal as far as industrialization is concerned. We have seen what has happened in Singur. It was almost anti-industrialization, but something happened on the base level with local economic development. You see, when one finds out that in a city like, in a district like Malda, about 29 new census towns came up, And field surveys revealed that it is basically based on local resources being utilized for non-agricultural production purpose. Things like mango processing and sericulture, etc. And I am giving this example for Malda, but I have also seen some other types of development taking place. I was surprised when I went to a place very near Kolkata, just opposite to this Bhoshpara road in Garulia. There we found a census town which has almost 100% growth rate. And what I found there, what led to this 100% growth rate, I found there that agriculture is almost gone and all agricultural land is being sold as plots, as residential plots. And who are living there? Basically retired persons, retired from banks, retired from schools, retired from small mercantile enterprises and others. The total character of that particular census town has changed. 100%, it has almost doubled the population. I don't know where the agriculture is gone, because it's a place where agricultural land was changed to residential land, and new entrants, that is retired persons from formal or semi-formal sectors, moving there as residents. And this is very near Kolkata. And if you look at the type of research that being conducted, one very good thesis was done in Bardhaman University on the census towns of Murshidabad, in work where it was seen that Murshidabad, as you know, it's an out-migrating district. Lots of young people moving out of Murshidabad to different parts of India as construction labor. Then what is happening to the agricultural land, and what is happening to the so-called local economy there? It was found that the paddy fields are now being turned to orchards, mainly mango orchards, because the older people who are living in Murshidabad, they do not have the capacity to carry on the day-to-day toils of paddy cultivation and others. It's better to plant some mango trees, and jobs become here, and sometimes they are leased, they are taken over by local, what should I say, local fiefs and others, sometimes supported by the political parties, and they take care of the mango trees, they take care of the mangoes and others. So this is the way urbanization happened in West Bengal in 2001 to 2011 period. I have reasons to believe that this is what is happening in small and medium towns. It is an urbanization. I agree with Professor Tathagata Chatterjee when he says that the density of population is very high in West Bengal, even with falling TFR and others. It was the highest in India in 2001. It was taken over by Bihar in 2011, but that doesn't imply that the population density in West Bengal has gone down. It was 1300 per square kilometer in 2001, and Bihar over took it in 2000, but this 1300 remains the same. So given by the definition of urban we follow, it was mass exodus from agriculture. I have shown in different ways that starting from Jalpaiguri to South Chobbish Pargona, it is basically mass exodus from agriculture, and what is swelling up, either the so-called HHI, that is the household industry, or very small manufacturing setups and etc. based on local resources. And what was needed. And this is a type of organic urbanization West Bengal did not see before. So there should have been, but unfortunately 2011 census is also simultaneously the change of guard happened in West Bengal. So we did not see any formal support from the government on these type of local economic changes and others. Rather, it was what Professor Zaad had said, that land has become a very lucrative thing, and land monetization and real estate development could happen in the peripheral region of big cities, whether it be Kolkata, whether it be Howrah, whether it be Durgapur. If you just go cross the Damodar from Durgapur, you will see the type of development has happened. Even with Asansol. The other side of Asansol, River Damodar, is Purulia, and you can see the spillover from Asansol and Durgapur in Bankura and Purulia. And that may be the reason why so many census towns came up in Purulia and Bankura. So given this thing, for small and medium towns in West Bengal, it's unfortunately, again, it's a decade when municipalization did not happen. The then Minister for Urban Development, he openly declared that we will not go for further municipalization, because if it is the municipalities, the costs are very high. So most of these 500 census towns, at least 50 of them were, or maybe 100 of them has crossed the 30,000 benchmark, which is for municipalization in West Bengal. But that municipalization did not happen in West Bengal in the last decade from 2011 onwards. So it's a case of very chaotic urbanization with small and very small, or what is called micro enterprises coming up, and at the same time the land mafia doing their job, so that you can see the so-called, if you just go a bit inside Howrah, you will see a 10th-floor apartment, just beside it, lots and lots of informal settlement. And this is the reality of West Bengal. So I don't think that it's an economist or planner's prerogative to give the politicians in power to give any directive or anything. But the first thing, according to me, that there should be some order should be brought in urbanization. What has happened in the last 10 or 15 years in West Bengal is the increase of cosmetic urbanization. You will see big malls, you will see big gates, etc. But nothing has happened at the best level as far as urban amenities or other things concerned. So it should be, the first priority would be bring some order, and then as far as the economic support to the economic activities or others, that should be the next priority. So let me stop here. I may add something again.
Yeah. Thank you, Professor Chatterjee, for highlighting the issue of organic urbanization and the transformation, the change from agriculture to cash crop and then towards land monetization. In fact, in West Bengal, we had, and probably still we have, urban poverty alleviation cell that was there in earlier, and they have taken up the project of Calcutta Urban Services for the Poor. And there was some concrete activity was taken up under the DFID Urban Services for the Poor program. This SHG self-help groups were created, and but that never was the priority of the spatial planning. So probably there is a need for formal support of the government, and bringing them under this local economic development should be one of the focus of any kind of spatial planning. I'd now, thank you, Professor Chatterjee. I'd now like to move to Muhammad Alamgir. Alamgir Saab, are you here? Can you hear me? Mr. Alamgir? Alamgir Saab? Okay. Then would like to move to Professor Shashwat Bandyopadhyay. Professor Bandyopadhyay, are you here?
Yeah. Good evening.
Okay. Yeah. So I would now move to Professor Shashwat Bandyopadhyay, whom many of you know. He is Professor, Faculty of Planning, CEPT University, and he is also in the High Power Committee uh, of High Level Committee of Urban Planning and Development in Gujarat, and also part of several key state and national committees, who has a good overview of what's happening in other states and also at national level. So my question to Professor Bandyopadhyay is, because you are an expert on spatial planning, and nowadays we shift our focus of spatial planning from a very elementary land use planning towards a more sustainable, the objective of achievement of sustainable development of cities. So what could be the agenda, considering the West Bengal context, the cities and towns? Probably you have a lot of experience of Bardwan, where is your hometown. What could be the agenda for the new government for making spatial planning as a tool, which is largely lacking in West Bengal, for towards a sustainable development, for say 37% urban, which Professor Tathagata has highlighted in probably in this census that would come up as a figure. Yeah, Professor Bandyopadhyay, please.
Yeah. Thank you, Souvanic. And first of all, many thanks for organizing this, dialogue today, which is very pertinent. Coming back to the question that you raised, so we were recently prepared a document report for 16th Finance Commission about, how to incentivize municipalization. And during that time, we are actually using some of the nightlight data. And what we found, large part of West Bengal, as Professor Chatterjee was also highlighting the number, much of urbanization is happening beyond the municipal areas. And this is, although we have 2011 census, but if you look at it very closely, with some element of nightlight assessment, you will see that West Bengal 2020 census will give us quite a bit of jolt. And those nightlight data are showing large footprints. These are not smaller towns, smaller settlements, large villages, across. And, if you classify them, you are seeing three types of this kind of, what is called census town or, urbanizing rural areas. One is at the periphery of a larger town. The second is coming at more as a, some transport node or, some areas where markets are forming. And third category, which is emerging, which is, almost isolated, a village, which is turning into urban. So these are the kind of categories which are, you know, predominantly you can classify, and today with an access to digital or geospatial data, this can be done. Although you don't know the number of this thing, but you can, there are ways you can estimate the kind of. So 2027 would be a kind of a game changer for, understanding urban in the census probably would reveal that part. The second aspect of it, when any economy grows, and this is, globally, along with that, the spatial planning aspects has to grow hand in hand. Because, the moment you draw a municipal boundary, any land market, what happens is we are incentivizing a pervasive incentives for the land developers to go out of the municipal boundary. Because the moment there is a municipal boundary, so automatically you will impose certain regulation, there would be certain scrutiny of proposals and so on and so forth. So whenever there is a municipal boundary and across the various states in India, you see there is a pervasive development which are taking place. So within a district, these are what we call is non-planning zone that are emerging, because This almost, you have a smaller municipality, for example, Bardhaman as a Bardhaman Municipal Corporation and Bardhaman Development Authority. So any building permission in that jurisdiction will come to BDA. But outside BDA, we are incentive. I mean, you get a lot of developers, and that they start playing around. And over a period of time, you see these settlements become vulnerable because common infrastructure, road access, water, drainage, social infrastructure, especially, and they are not provided. These are only, you see plots after plots where only the buildings are provided, housing is provided, but access. And I particularly, whenever I go back to my hometown and I see and get scared that many of the peripheral layout, if there is a fire or if there is any such incident, not even a fire brigade, not even an ambulance would be able to access many of this settlement because they are growing without any planning framework. And this is where I would like to bring, that a spatial planning framework. So there are two terminologies which we often use very commonly. One is urban planning, and the other one is spatial planning. And spatial planning is, it has to be beyond urban planning. That whenever we are drawing a municipal boundary, making an urban plan, but somebody has to plan a larger area, and there are multiple, good practices that has emerged. For example, in Tamil Nadu, they have created some boundaries which is called local planning area. So wherever there is a growth beyond a municipal boundary or a larger economic corridor, so at least there is a local planning area authority. Local planning must not means a micro scale planning. It is a LPA they call. It's like our UDA kind of a format. So this kind of structure has emerged. Gujarat practiced two other format, which is called Urban Development Authority for areas beyond and immediately beyond urban development municipal corporation area. They also practice an industrial authority, or industrial development authorities are also given power to plan and manage the industrial area. There is also areas which are growing in terms of religious or tourism purpose. They also created a framework called ADA, Area Development Authority. So, this kind of planning framework has to emerge in response to, the kind of growth triggers that we are seeing, particularly maybe because of the kind of transport intensity that we have, maybe because of the kind of transition that we are seeing in West Bengal. So we have to create this kind of institutional framework to plan and manage growth beyond these boundaries. Lastly, there are two other very important aspects. Wherever there is this kind of facilities or this kind of institutional uh, framework is non-existence or difficult to come, because one of the argument while we are discussing for finance commission report, one of the argument many states we are receiving is that municipalization will add to the financial burden on the state. So there is a kind of a dilemma at the state government level, that whether to call it whether to municipalize or not. Hopefully, this incentive fund which is proposed probably create some kind of a positive momentum towards municipalization. The other very important tool, many states are looking at it, like Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, also Gujarat, that is called Common Development Control Regulation. Common Development Control Regulation, instead of applying only in the urban area, many states are uniformly applying all over any settlement, without whether it is urban or in rural. Even if you are doing any building permission or any building activity, the uniform regulation you have to follow to create certain amount of public minimum building with a very poor access, poor water sanitation, drainage, and absolutely lack of infrastructure. There are absence of play garden, there are absence of other infrastructure. So my expectation would be to that the next step, if you want to leverage the positive value of urban development, urban agglomeration that they bring in, this has to be, special. It's only when it is. So, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah.
So sorry, I got
Please.
dropped out, but only
Yeah,
when
please.
we are able to, bring this development with a spatial context, as Professor Chatterjee was mentioning, some element of order in this madness. The second is we also need to mobilize resources. Like, early development in China, it was entirely land-based financing. So what we are, elusively trying, land-based, land value capturing, it can always in land. This game. So even use special planning to probably able to bring that to public for finding some. That broadly I wanted to share this. And once again, thank you very much. Over.
Yeah, Professor Shashat, can you hear me?
Hello.
Yes,
Hello.
yes, hear you.
Yeah,
I can hear
we,
you.
yeah,
Can
just
hear
few
me?
minutes. Just yes. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Just wait for a few minutes. I have just we are Professor Shashat. We couldn't hear your last
Hello.
two. Just a minute. Wait, please wait. We'll come back. We'll.
क्या
I
Yeah,
जबरदस्त
brother.
कुछ नहीं कर रहा क्या कुछ
see Souvanic.
Yeah,
Souvanic,
we can't hear
point
your
was
last.
that.
Yeah.
हेलो
Can you hear me now?
Yes, please,
तो करने
please.
क्या
So the first
उसे ओहो
urbanization bring
हेलो
prosperity.
किससे बात करेंगे इससे बोलने से आवाज आएगा
Jesna, can you
हेलो
mute Mr. Alamgir now?
hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Alamgir साहब बोलिए.
Can you hear me?
He can't. The problem is he can't hear us. That is the problem.
Hello.
Can we tell Jesna to give him a call?
Yeah, Jesna, please
Yes.
give him a call and we will let us continue the discussion and give him a call and then we'll come back to him. Please mute him because we have to. Yeah, Professor Shashwat, yeah, please conclude your we can't hear because of that. Professor Shashwat, you can conclude now.
I think Shobhanik, Shashwat,
Yeah.
I think is finished, and maybe
Okay.
we can take
Yeah.
Mr. Alamgir, and maybe if he has problem with the thing, we can ask him to talk through mobile or something, maybe.
Yeah, but I'm not able to coordinate him. Is because he's I'm
He has
we can't
joined
hear you.
from, I think he has joined from twice. That is the problem. He is in the mobile and he is also in some laptop or something. That is the problem.
Maybe
He
he
must,
can log out and log in again.
he must log out from at least one.
Jesna,
Mobile and laptop cannot go together.
can you call him to log out and then
Yes.
join?
Now you can hear me.
We can hear you.
Then I will
But-
start.
He cannot decide on which he will talk, laptop or.
So what to do, Jesna?
I'm calling.
You please, then you please mute him because otherwise we cannot proceed.
I am muting him, but he again unmuting himself. That's why.
Just tell him to log from anyone, either his mobile or his laptop. Or you can talk to the person who is with him. I think he is not very able in handling all these things.
Yeah. Now, can I move to the second round then?
Then now, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Yes, we can hear you. Please talk.
Yes. My name is Mohammed Alamgir.
Yeah, you can speak. You can
He's
give
muted
your
again. He's muted.
very difficult. I think let us proceed. Otherwise, we are actually we can't go to the.
Can you hear me? Hello.
I think let us move to other speakers because we are not able to hear him, or
We can hear you. We can hear him.
we can hear him, but he's.
आलमगीर साहब आप बोलिए
बोल रहे हैं for last 5 decades I'm talking about the development decades. So simple equation I'm saying how much the poor people receive from this development decade and how much the middle class receive.
We can't hear you.
Yes.
Oh.
I can't hear you.
Your voice is not clear.
Yes, now I'm clear. Now I am clear.
Yes, please.
So I've been working for the last 4-5 decades. So I've been observing the development fund, how much went to the slum improvement program, to the improvement of the marginalized basic services, to the improvement of livelihood and social security of the poor people. So with this situation, we have found very much lopsided development took place. The opportunities for the poor slum dwellers are very less than the other middle class. So I'm really very much astonished that how much we can expect from these political parties. Now, the deletion of the voter list, deletion from the voter list is also a call for the poor people that they cannot expect from this new government to be formed because they have no right now to vote for the new government. So now the which party is coming to power, that depends on that how much we can expect from BJP, how much we can expect from TMC, how much we can expect from the left front government. So different political parties have different ideological background and different developmental background. So in this area, the poor people are very much confused and looking forward the positive development in the slum. The sanitation, water, and social security are very much concerned and burning issues of this marginalized community. So, really, we are in a very crossroad that really the future government, how much it will tackle the problem and misery hardship of the very poor people in the slums, in the squatter and in the payment. It depends on the attitude of the government. Really, they want people participate in the development, people participate in the political process, people participate in the economic and social development. So, keeping in mind, we are very much confused, and now we are expecting from this government that at least basic services in the slums and in the marginalized improve, economic opportunities they get, and social security also they get from the government. So with this expectation, I am looking forward the coming government will do for this marginalized community. Thank you. Hello.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Muhammad Alamgir. Thank you, Mr. Alamgir. So I would now like to move to the second round. Probably Professor Zaad Mahmood has left. Is Professor Debashis Shen here?
Yeah, thank you. I just have 3 points, very quick, one
Yeah,
line.
please.
Number one, I would slightly differ with your Professor Souvanic, your point of view that segregation by building housing societies is not good for a city. In Newtown, there are 40 blocks and 80 gated communities. People love to stay in the gated communities. It gives them a swimming pool, it gives them security, it gives them the freedom to travel, it gives them a club room. So probably we need to change our ideas that gated communities are not good for the city. What people like, that is good for the city, not what old textbooks write. Number two is 31% to 37% rise in urban population, I guess, is purely out of senior citizen rights. The problem is Kolkata is becoming a retirement city, Bengal is becoming a retirement city. We need to reverse this. And one way I tried to do in Newtown is to make the evenings vibrant. I made streets and street markets and playing arenas which were open till midnight. A techie comes back home at 7:38, takes a bath, cup of coffee, and goes out to play five-a-side football. If we don't provide this kind of a place, a pub that will be open till midnight, young talent will never come back. We will go from older to oldest. And the last point I will end with is on the Poila Boishak Day, on the 15th of April, OpenAI of ChatGPT fame has come out with a global report. It says uses of AI by India is good, but it is very skewed in the cities. And it has named Delhi NCR as the topmost, followed by Bangalore and Hyderabad. Kolkata is not there. And yet, this time we cannot blame the left front for opposing computerization. It was invented, ChatGPT was released, the generative models came into being only 3 years ago. And yet, unlike other places, we have not been able to get onto the bandwagon. And no political opposition to AI, I can say with certainty. So therefore, my point is, this is happening because talent is all outside. Bengalis are clever, but they are all in Bangalore and Delhi. We must bring them back. This is my point once again. That's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Sen, for your very, very pertinent reflections, and it's really well taken. So I would now like to move to Professor Tathagata, if you have any observations on the discussions we have or any other new point to add.
Yes, thank you, Shobani. So my point is that we need to, and in fact, I mean, that is in one way I'm feeling a little bit disappointed, is that I was expecting that at least in the left front manifesto, there would be a talk about an urban policy framework. Because, I mean, the Kerala, there is an urban policy has been developed. But I don't see that in the West Bengal manifesto of the left front. The fact of the matter is we need to have a varied strategy for urban development across West Bengal. We cannot have a one-size-fits-all kind of a model. So on the one hand, for the Calcutta area, and Calcutta's older industrial belt agglomeration area. So there definitely we need to have an urban renewal strategy so as to bring the land which is locked by BIFR or court cases or various kind of things to productive use for modern usage. So that I mean to avoid the city from spreading out, to avoid the urban sprawl. And because again West Bengal the population density is so high, we need to protect the land. Second point is that if we do not have an overarching urban policy framework and that census town kind of things grow, I think, I mean, if I remember correctly, in the last census report, 2011 census, amongst the districts in Bengal, Burdwan district was one of the highest rate of urbanization. Now, the thing is that Vardhan also happens to be the rice bowl. So, I mean, not just in Bengal, but also in Andhra, also the areas which are most agriculturally fertile areas. So, they are the surplus money from agrarian economy is getting reinvested into some form of local level urbanization. But unless that is controlled in a larger policy framework, it is going to create a haphazard urbanization and would have a tremendous amount of environmental consequence as well as a consequence for food security. Because if the most fertile land gets locked due to urbanization. The third point is that we need to have also some very labor intensive industries, particularly for Malda and Murshidabad districts, which are facing the maximum out migration of the informal labor. So we need to create jobs, and at many places, these people are going and facing troubles in other states. So we need to create opportunities within the state. So with this, I will stop.
Yeah. Thank you. There is one question in the chat box. I'm reading the question. Is urban? Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah. Is urban inequality genuinely part of our political agenda today? To what extent are national, state, and local leaders are thinking long term about sustainability, equity, and inclusive development in planning and policy, planning and implementation? So, any one of the panelists would like to answer to this?
I can answer, but
Yes,
if
yes,
anyone
please.
wants to answer, that's also okay.
To me, I feel that so I have an observation that the 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 national government or our national agenda is has moved from a basic services towards more to a mission mode. So now the focus of the national government is more on the infrastructure augmentation and giving larger, opening up larger areas for investment friendly development. So probably we have moved out a bit from the urban basic services for the poor and that kind of program. So we actually have come back a bit, and that has been that has come to the our purview when we have seen the exodus of the migrants from the cities. And after that, there was an initiative of affordable rental housing. But that has not really been taken up with right kind of interest or earnest by most of the state governments. And also the other thing which I can mention, that during the time of pandemic, there was a discussion on the urban, work for urban poor. The various kind of minimum employment guarantee for the urban poor, because there are many urban improvement works which are executed by contractors, vendors, which could have been given back, and there are some states are working on this, that employment guarantee for the urban poor, and that's in the agenda of the left manifesto. They have proposal of 120 days minimum work for the urban poor. So probably that has to come back to the mainstream of development, considering the kind of exclusive situation what has happened in the urban fabric after the neoliberalization has been implemented in more than last 2 decades. So that's my point. If any other panelists would like to make any point on this, so they're most welcome. So Kirtiji, you have any point to add on this question, that have we lost the focus on inclusivity and how to bring it back? Any other panelist would like to reflect?
CEPT sir, you are mute. Sir, you are on mute, sir.
Kirti bhai is
Kirtiji.
mute.
Kirtiji, please unmute yourself. Kirtiji. Kirtiji, unmute yourself. Oh, he's going on to. Let me call him.
So there are a few more questions. One question is riverfront development like London needs to be reviewed from the aspect of environmental considerations on the fragile ecosystem of river Ganges and socio-economic aspects? Anyone would like to respond on this, Tathagata?
Okay.
Yes, definitely it needs to be addressed. I mean, for
Can you hear me?
we have to understand that London
Now only he has unmuted
complex.
himself, I think.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now only you have unmuted yourself, sir.
Oh,
Yes.
sorry. No,
Yes,
let's briefly go through. I was a bit disappointed because I was expecting this very educated and very informed panel certainly will talk about 12% and 9 million votes having been deleted from the voters list. Not only it has major implications on the political coloration, it also has implications on people's right. And as I said, understand, poor people value the right to vote very highly. We don't respect it very much. People paying their own money, coming from Chennai to West Bengal, staying there a month and saying this is a celebration time and this is the right, this is the time to express our votes is very important. And I thought I was expecting an interesting debate on this. Number two is this, that urban electorate and their party preferences are now dramatically affecting governance. And Gujarat is a good example. 30 years of BJP rule in Gujarat largely depends on the manner in which the party has been able to kind of win over the city votes, the urban votes. And I was very keen to understand how is this particular polarization, how is this particular, I think, phenomenon operating in West Bengal. And I think I'd like to hear something on that. Third thing is this, that, and this is what I noticed, that in the process that the government has been elected time and again, as I said, BJP is ruling Gujarat for 30 years, that has rubbed positively in the government itself. If you look at this year's budget of Government of Gujarat, 32,000 crores are in the budget, which is 10% of the total budget of 3,40,000 crores. This is unusual, never heard of. And the series of policies, series of programs which are being unfolded. And I wanted to kind of hear in terms of what is happening in West Bengal. My fourth point is this, that manifestos, whether we like it or not, however irrelevant they are, however irrelevant they may have been made by the electoral processes, fact remains as a very powerful tool of education. Is a very powerful tool of getting people's voice to political parties and through political parties, through two political processes. And this, I thought, we should have discussed at length and understood in terms of what is possible. Fifth is the issue of governance failure we talk about all the time. In one of the meetings, I think in the last week, I mentioned about the finance minister of Gujarat saying in one of the meetings that the elected representative, I think, for the municipal corporations were not worth running a pawn shop of 4,000 rupees. He was commenting very on the quality of the political leadership that is emerging. And I thought this is something very important that we must look at, because even if we create, I think, reservations, even if we bring in people who deserve to be there, even if we really kind of add quota of women, if we do not have quality leadership, our cities probably would not improve. That is enough point. And my last point is this, that a mobilization of the marginal population, the work that labor unions were doing, also is a very important tools of bringing these issues of marginalization, poverty, lack of rights to the fore. And this particular process needs to be internalized. This particular process needs to be deepened, and it should be ingrained in the political arena in which elections are fought. And I thought West Bengal's election, and because West Bengal essentially is also a highly politicized state, I thought we would hear a lot in terms of election and mobilization of the marginal population. So these are, I think, the 5 or 6 issues I was hoping to hear more in this particular thing. But without that, it has been very rich, very interesting and very educative session. And thank you very much for all of you for making time, for being available, for express your views and helped us organize this webinar in a very short period of time. So thank you very much. Let me also tell you briefly that Professor Souvanic, Roy, and INHAF are planning a webinar series on cities of West Bengal. And we hope to kind of put this together in the next few months. And I'm sure that time will reach you again for your contribution, for your views, and for your guidance. So thank you very much for this session and for your contribution. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Thanks to all the speakers for sparing their valuable time in this webinar. I think we have a very useful and meaningful conversation, and certainly there is further scope to explore deeper into even more critical questions about inequality, poverty, and also about municipalization in
Yes.
West Bengal context is very, very relevant. So we hope to take up these issues. And I again thank on behalf of INHAF to all the speakers for joining this event. Thank you all.
Thank you.
And
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Professor.
Goodbye.
Thank you very
Thank
much
you,
for your
Souvanic.
time.
Thank
Thanks
you
for
and good
coming.
night.
Thank you. Good night. Thank you,
thank you.
Tathagata sir.
We'll be in touch
Thank
soon
you,
again.
all speakers. Yes, we'll be in touch.
Yes.